Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. As we all know, late last year, Apple released the 12 series of the iPhones, which meant that pretty much the 11s got discontinued, all except the base 11, which is still on sale with a discount today. So, I was myself eyeing the iPhone 12 mini as a great phone, because I really don't want to spend $1,500 on a new phone. I think it's a bit too pricey. So I was looking at the 12 mini, which is about $970 where I live. Yeah, you can thank import tariffs and that sort of stuff. But that got me thinking, if I could get an iPhone 12 mini for $970, could I possibly get last year's flagship for about the same? Turns out I can, and I got a perfect green iPhone 11 Pro Max for about $850. So let's take a look together. Is it any good still in 2021? Should you even consider it? Or should you just skip ahead to the 12 series of phones? The phone still sports the same design that we're all familiar with since the iPhone 10. Slightly curved design, matte glass back, glass front, and stainless steel sides. It really feels premium in the hand, if you want a word for it. The phone came in midnight green, space gray, silver, and gold finishes. The slightly curved design makes it easy to hold in the hand and kind of masks the size of the thing a little bit. It's still a very big phone, let's be clear about that. It's 158 by 77.8 by 8.1 millimeters. So basically, it's a very big phone. And it weighs in at 226 grams. Now, considering the size, again, it doesn't feel particularly heavy or uncomfortable to grasp in the hand. And coming from the regular iPhone 11, I was surprised to find that this is a bit thinner and doesn't really feel too large in the hand. Like all glass phones, even with the iPhone 12s and its new ceramic shield on the front, I would still probably use a screen protector and a case on it. While Apple constantly keeps on about durability and such, tests done by Jerry Rig Everything and other YouTubers kind of point out that, like with all glass phones, you should really be careful with this one. It will probably scratch with relative ease, and drops should be a major no-nos, as repairs aren't going to be cheap. Basically, repairing the front or the back of the phone is going to be pretty expensive. The buttons are as clicky as ever, and the Taptic engine is top notch. The haptic feedback on iPhones is outstanding. Nothing less than you would expect from one of their flagships. So many phone manufacturers get this wrong, but the haptic feedback has always been top notch on iPhones. The phone also comes with IP68 certification, which means it's going to be good up to a maximum depth of 4 meters for about 30 minutes. I wouldn't necessarily go diving with it though, but it should be more than okay with the occasional splash, rain, or the accidental spill. Onto the display, which is probably the main selling point of the phone, or one of the main selling points of the phone. It's a gorgeous 6.5-inch OLED design. It's labeled by Apple as Super Retina XDR. Even though the display itself is actually made by Samsung, Apple applies its own color accuracy, which really looks good, no doubts on this. It can also reach a maximum brightness of 1200 nits, although it's set to 800 in typical usage. In HDR content or in bright lit conditions, it will go up to 1200 nits, which is amazing. This basically means you can use the phone outdoors in very bright sunlight and you won't have any problem reading the screen. So that's a big plus. It also has a 2,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio, so you'll be able to enjoy those deep blacks. And by all measures, this is still a fantastic display to this day. The resolution is 1242 by 2688 pixels, 19.5 aspect ratio with 458 ppi density. So basically, you're not going to be able to tell pixels on this one. It still comes with the notch though, which is still present on the 12 as well. Being such a large display, however, makes the notch, at least for me, feel almost invisible. At this point, I've gotten used to it and it doesn't bother me so much. If it bothers you so much, I have really bad news, let's say. It's still around on the 12, and it's also going to be around on the 13, even though rumors are that on the 13 it's going to get smaller. The notch is still going to be there. One important thing to notice is you're going to need to keep the phone upright for Face ID to work. It won't work if you put it in landscape mode or upside down. This has always annoyed me because it works perfectly fine on the iPad Pro that I have, but somehow it doesn't on the iPhone. The biggest missing feature on this display will be the lack of higher refresh rates. The 11 and the 12 as well are still capped at 60 Hz refresh rate. There was an intense talk about Apple giving 120 Hz refresh rate on the new 12s. However, that seems to have been ditched in favor of maintaining better battery life on the 12. So yeah, it still has 60 Hz refresh rate, but it does come with a big bonus in terms that it has 120 Hz touch sampling, which means that basically it's the smoothest 60 Hz display you're gonna find out there, which is a big plus. Now onto the performance. It comes with the A13 Bionic chip inside and 4 gigs of RAM. While the newer 12 Pros and Pro Max come with 6 gig of RAM, the 4 present here shouldn't really be a big concern. iOS has pretty decent RAM management, so it won't reload apps very often. Scrolling, loading apps, games, and even video editing will not cause any sort of lag, and perhaps it will get a little bit hot, a little bit warm when editing videos or under intense usage, but not much worse than that. For storage, it came with 3 different options: 64 gigabyte base option, 256 that I have here, and also the 512 gigabyte flagship model. I would say the 256 that I have here is pretty much the way to go. It's the happy medium. The 64 gig I would completely disregard because it's going to get used up very, very fast. I have the 64 gig base iPhone 11, and I can tell you that I already need to upgrade because basically the storage is full almost all of the time. Remember that the phone has 4K video and very detailed photo capabilities, so this means you're going to be able to fill up that storage really, really fast. In terms of software, it launched on iOS 13. It's now on 14.4, which is the latest version of iOS, and I think it's going to be supported for a good few more years. I would say 3 to 4 years is totally possible at this point. Apple's recent track record has been pretty flawless with this. Now, in terms of cameras, it does come with a triple camera setup. You have an ultra-wide sensor, a wide, and a telephoto camera, all 12 megapixel. It has 2 times optical zoom in, 2 times optical zoom out, and digital zoom up to 10x on photos. It comes with dual optical image stabilization, wide and telephoto. And in terms of recording, it can record 4K video at 24 FPS, 30 FPS, or 60 FPS. It has extended dynamic range for video up to 60 FPS. The optical image stabilization is there present as well for wide and telephoto. For video, it has 2 times optical zoom in, 2 times optical zoom out, and a digital zoom of up to 6x, so a little bit smaller than in photo, but still very, very good. It has an audio zoom feature and also slow-mo video support for 180p at 120 FPS or 240 FPS. So basically this is still a great camera phone no matter how you look at it. The 12 Pro Max has some improvements over this, but they're not that dramatic. And basically I'll let the samples do the talking here because this is still a fantastic camera phone in my opinion. Also, let's take a quick look at a selfie video. This is a 4K sample video shot with the FaceTime camera. The quality is quite okay, not quite as good as the rear-facing cameras, but passable anyway. I mean, it's plenty good for, let's say, a video call or Zoom conference or anything like that. Also, let's have a quick here to the stereo speakers. Let's take a sample from my channel and see how it hears. Today we're going to look at a different device, a little older one, back from 2019. Namely, this bad boy here, the iPad. So basically the speakers are also top-notch. They're very loud with enough bass. I think the audio quality is pretty good. Before we discuss the battery life, I would like to ask you guys if you find a video informative or useful, to please consider subscribing, liking the videos, and turning on the bell notification. This will greatly help me in building the channel and reaching a larger audience. Thanks a lot. Now, in terms of battery life, the total battery capacity is 3,969 milliamps, which is basically 4,000 more or less. It's actually larger than the brand new 12 Pro Max, which has about 3,700. While this phone is actually used and doesn't retain its full battery capacity anymore, it has 93% battery left in terms of health, it's still a very, very good battery. The phone can last me for a day with ease, basically 2 days with moderate usage. So if you're a pro user, prosumer, let's say, you use the phone intensely, heavy workload for it, even if you buy it used with a less than ideal battery, let's say, so under 100%, you're still going to be looking at comfortably 1 day of usage without any sort of problems. Now, onto the connectivity. Basically, there is one small problem here, and I can report on this based on my iPhone 11 usage prior to this, and also by using this Pro Max a little bit. The modem inside is from Intel, because at the time Apple had a legal battle with Qualcomm, and you will experience dropped calls from time to time. And basically, if you're in areas with spotty reception, you're going to experience a few issues here and there. This isn't disturbingly common. It's not something that happens all of the time, but it's something you need to be aware of. Also, in terms of connectivity, if you go with the 11 Pro Max, the biggest feature that you'll be missing out on is 5G, which is now present in the 12 series. I would not say that this is really a critical feature at this point in time. 5G is still a developing technology, more or less. It's still not widely adopted, and you won't really feel it's that you're missing out on if you don't have 5G. Of course, this is going to change maybe in 2 or 3 years down the line, but right now it shouldn't really impact your buying decision. Also, keep in mind that the new iPhone 12s, even though here in connectivity they may say 5G, they're not actually using their 5G connection all the time. Basically, the phone does this on purpose to optimize battery life. It's only going to connect to 5G when you're actually downloading large files or there's a lot of network usage on it. That's when it's actually going to connect to 5G. In the rest of the time, even the new 12 is going to stick to 4G. Now, in terms of conclusions, I think this is a great phone and a great bargain in terms of prices for Apple's products. You're getting, let's say, 85% of this year's flagship for pretty much half price. I call that a great deal. If you do consider buying the 11 Pro Max, you should try as much as possible to get a device in the best shape you can find at a good price. Around $800 would be okay. A few months down the line, even less than that. If possible, find one with warranty and you're off to go. If you already own one, you should probably hang on to it. We're already pretty much halfway through the life cycle of the 12. Hey, time does fly in the pandemic, right? And it seems like the 13 will be more like a 12S. So they would probably iron out some issues with the 12 and improve some other aspects. Until then, I think the 11 Pro Max is still a very good phone. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.